10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio. Watch out!
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto, on this September 14th, 2020 evening. And Chris, it was another big weekend in bodybuilding. The Cal Pro took place, and I got my daughter Aria threw a cell phone at my mouth this morning and opened up my lip right here.
my cell phone locked up, Dave, today. It wouldn't do anything.
No?
I thought it was like the end of the world.
Right? Isn't it terrible? You wish you had your BlackBerry back with us, I bet.
I know. Well, you know what? Ever since you told me, I switched my iPhone, and I like it much better, over to the clicking noise, it's like a BlackBerry.
Oh, yeah.
I hear the clicking.
Yeah. You have to have the volume on to do that. You know, so I'm laying in on the couch this morning, and the kids are in there, and Amanda texted me. I could tell she wanted to ask me something because I have her on emergency, so I always hear, her text goes through no matter what. I'm like, all right, give me the phone. Get the phone for Daddy. And she's like a frisbee, like she's like throwing a boomerang. Boom. And those things are dense.
Oh yeah, of course.
And it hurt. I felt my lip crushing underneath under that cell phone. And blood is just, she's like, I said, are you sorry what you just did? She's like, no.
No.
She's funny. She's like, it's funny.
Yeah, she got a
I said,
big
you see blood coming down it was running down my face, She doesn't just, no clue. And you can't be mad at them, right? Because it's like, they're just, they're so cute, right? And the kids, they're innocent.
No, because if you're mad at them, you end up like Arnie List.
My son's like, put her in timeout.
Yeah, he wants to see punishment.
He wants to see punishment, yeah, and inflicted on her. I did put her in timeout because I've warned her before not to throw things, But they don't do it like that. Yeah, she'll do it again. Yeah. Ugh. So anyway, Antoine Vaillant is the champion, and he's going to the Olympia. And Chris, you called him on last week's show an Instagram bodybuilder.
Yes.
What's your response to that?
I said, because
he called you out. That's why I'm saying this.
Yeah, he did call me out, and he it was very funny, actually. Someone sent it to me, and I replied to him, congratulations, you look. I actually responded to him this way. I said, Antoine, you looked terrible last week. And I told other people who were like, whose feathers were ruffled, I said, you were fighting for 7th and 8th and 9th last week.
Right.
And by my account, my opinion, I thought he looked terrible. And he was fighting for as low as 9th place, 7th, 8th, 9th. I didn't think he won that call out even on the 7th, 8th, 9th. So the reason I called him an Instagram bodybuilder is because he showed up at that show looking like a figment. And I think he would admit to that. A figment of what he looks like running into the show.
Yeah, well, I had said, that, I thought he was very flat. I think he just over depleted or whatever.
I saw him briefly. This is how much I know bodybuilding. I saw him briefly at M140. And I just looked, and I thought, someone said, there's Antoine. And I looked over and I thought, God, he looks thin. And I just thought, okay, maybe he's not doing the show. He looks like lean, but not muscular.
Right.
And then this week he did a Incredible Hulk, and he leapfrogged everyone and smashed the shows. Right. So when he put up a very funny, it was very funny Instagram story, and he should have tagged me on it, but someone else tagged me on it, and I sent a message back and I said,
well, he doesn't realize that you have a good sense of humor about yourself too. I mean,
congratulations, you looked incredible. I reiterate, you looked terrible last week, and then he said, laugh out thanks, or something like this. And then I said, and I still think you look better in the Instagram photos than this big win. So, it was a great, unbelievable transformation from.
Well, that, look, he's not a guy, he's a pretty authentic guy. He's not like one of these, the oxygen gym mirror guys, So I just felt like, he's really authentic. Something must have gone seriously wrong. I'm going to get him on the show. He's coming on Wednesday, so I'm going to interview him, find out exactly what went on between New York and Cal, and what mistakes he made for the New York Pro that he didn't make for the California Pro, obviously. How would the Antoine you think we saw in California, which was really in Vegas, how would that have done on the New York Pro stage?
Well, I bought, and I want a refund for the broadcast. Anyone who watched the broadcast, you couldn't
the live stream. You said it was terrible, right? You said it was bad. It was too dark.
Insane. It was like this.
The one this is for the Cal Pro.
I get it any darker in here than that. Yeah. It was bad, but even looking at horrendous photos, he would have been. Well, I'll break it down this way. If Ann won, then he would have given Ann a run because he's got more cross-striated body than Ann, at least in California or Vegas. Mm-hmm. And they're both very wide and very tall. I mean, those are calling cards, right? Big and wide. So they would have compared, if Ann having won, and he, probably won, by most accounts due to width, due to overall size. Antoine has width, and in New York he didn't have size, but he had size back, at this show. So I think he would have done. Yeah.
I think Antoine has got to be the comeback story of the decade. I mean, here's a guy who was, when he was a teen, people were talking about this kid as being Mr. Olympia. He had that kind of potential, and he had contracts and he had money coming in, and he got involved with the wrong crowd. He was partying too much. He got into drugs. By his own admission, he was living on the street. He was homeless. He had no money, nothing. No one wanted anything to do with him. He hit rock bottom. He cleaned himself up. He made the comeback 2 years ago. Did well, looked good. But then last year was supposed to be, the real homecoming, so to speak, where he was going to start winning shows and everything. And then he tore his bicep, if you remember. So this year, was really was something that he'd been really waiting a long time to get to because of that. Whenever you tear a muscle, I mean, it sets you back. There's no doubt about that. So, I'm sure New York, he had a lot of nerves going into it. He probably was, maybe had contracts riding on the line. I don't know what he had going on, but obviously maybe he overdid it a little bit. And but he redeemed himself. He definitely came back, and now we see why. You see that. I mean, that frame, like you said, he has is definitely a blessed frame. And if he can keep progressing from what he's got there, this guy can go pretty far. I think he can go all the way. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, no, it's funny that, Dave, you say that because you forget half the stuff you say. But a couple of years ago, you thought. You said that same exact thing on the show. You said, I think Antoine Vaillant can go all the way. Mm-hmm. I was like, really? The Instagram kid?
Well, I mean, where would a Antoine that we saw here, and I think he could still be a little fuller, than what we saw on stage. But I mean, where do you think that physique would place it in an Olympia lineup? I mean, can you? I mean, I think he's a top 10 guy for sure.
The Olympia is so difficult right now to handicap because it's still far out, and we don't really technically know who's in it.
Well, we kind of know. We're starting to get more people in it. Did you see that picture that Mr. Olympia LLC put up of Brandon Curry out at Oxygen Gym there?
No, but
he looks like he's like 900 pounds.
He told me he looked gigantic.
You see the picture?
Let me see. I have to put on my glasses. How's that? Yeah, he looks like he's 900. Listen, the Brandon Phil battle is going to be beyond epic because Phil has a chip on his shoulder, and I don't mean that in a negative way. There's nothing wrong with having a chip on your shoulder. It's a motivating factor. And Brandon has more to prove than Phil has to prove. So it's Phil's chip. literally, versus Brandon's,
Motivation. Yeah.
motivation to prove. And sometimes the underdog can be, and the need to prove yourself.
Well, we've never seen a Mr. Olympia be an underdog, Chris.
Than having a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, we've never had to see Mr. Olympia be an underdog at a show. This is the first time, but you have to call him the underdog because Phil's the 7-time Olympia champ.
He's the underdog. He's the underdog for sure.
Yeah,
But,
which takes a lot of pressure off of Brandon, though, too. Don't you think? It
Yeah.
puts pressure on, but it takes pressure off because people almost expect Phil to win. But even though Brandon's Mr. Olympia, so now if Brandon comes in and brings a ridiculous look to the stage and beats Phil, I mean, it completely validates him, right, as Mr. Olympia.
Well, it does.
Not that he needs validation, but
They
it
both have the ability to bring in absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Phil definitely has the ability to bring something ridiculous. And I think if you look at Brandon's progression, I mean, who's to say he doesn't take another 15% improvement this year or last year?
No, you're right. He is still getting better. What about? I mean, I know you talked to Shaun Rhoden this past week, and what's going on with him? Is in the trial and everything like that?
I don't know what's happening. I don't think it's got anything to do with the trial. I think the people who own the Mr. Olympia are going to have to extend an invitation.
Well, he doesn't have to get an invitation. He's Mr. Olympia, but obviously, whatever stopped him from competing last year because of a political decision that they made, they could extend that. Or what I don't understand is how come there's when is his court case? How come that's
a president can pardon anyone at any time?
Right. Maybe Trump will pardon Shaun Rhoden.
He don't need a pardon. He has been found guilty of nothing.
That's true.
A Olympia owner can press the gas as hard as he wants, if he wants to, at any time. That's my answer.
You think they'll invite him or no?
No.
No. No.
They would have already.
Yeah, you're probably right. Especially since the marketing has started already for the show. That would have been great to put Shaun on the poster.
It's gonna, you know what, David? You know what's going to be crazy about the show? The show you watch, it will turn out to be a blockbuster in terms of people in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll only get to see it on live stream.
You don't think there's going to be an audience there, huh?
I think it's going to be. I don't think there'll be an audience.
You might be right. The way, I mean, look at Vegas this past weekend where the Cal Pro was held. They had to have masks on it. Can you imagine if Mr. Olympia, they have to wear masks?
Well, I thought they would have no audience at Tampa, New York. I was wrong about that. So maybe they'll have. They had a limited audience.
Well, if they can't have an audience, they should move it to Florida. Evidently, Florida has no problem with audiences. They're moving the Masters. They moved the Masters.
I know, but they those were limited audiences. You know what I mean?
Well, a limited audience is better than no audience.
Yeah, I'm talking. How many people in New York? There weren't many people at all.
But you know what, Chris? That Vegas convention center or whatever where they're holding it there, Planet Hollywood. Mm-hmm. That theater there is pretty damn big. So I mean, you could probably get a lot of people in there, even if you space them every 6 seats. You know what I mean? So.
Well, my understanding is it's Vegas is. You'll have to ask Jay. It's shut mostly.
Yeah, I can't believe that they haven't gone out of business, all these hotels.
I can't.
Maybe you and I should go buy one of the smaller ones.
Dave, I watch the restaurants go out of business in my town. They're trickling. Like this guy, I give up. This guy, I give up.
Let's go buy Planet Hollywood. Come on, Chris. You and I, we'll raise some money with our good friend over there, and
we got the jet.
Oh, I'm surprised our good friend hasn't bought one of those hotels already.
Huh?
I'm surprised.
They own the St. Regis in Bell Harbor.
Yeah, I know they do that. But
what about get better than that?
That's true. What about if he bought the Planet Hollywood, then we would have the Olympia right there. We'd have the.
We'd be able to get press passes.
Luckily, we have Dan.
We're the owner. Dan, we can't. I know I can't get one of the competitors who I want to get in, but. We actually own the hotel now.
Well, if you own the hotel, you can make your own rules probably too about who goes. How many?
I think
people.
We're talking 2 inside for people.
That's true.
Just someone we know who dabbles in hotels.
Yeah, right. All right, let's look at the show. Max Charles versus Antoine Vaillant on stage. Break it down for me.
I break it down. The show is one on not strengths. It's one on lack of weaknesses. And Antoine does have a back double, and he has control over the back double, and he has a back lat spread, and he has glutes and hams. Those are the shortcomings of Max. I know Max under the lights will blow you away on the most muscular.
Right.
Maybe side chest, front doubles phenomenal, front lat spread, but at some point you have to turn from behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where, where I call it a show of weaknesses. Max has weaknesses there. I know he doesn't want to hear it. It was like
Mullis doesn't want to hear it either.
The context is last week's judging. It's still the same thing. I think I called it an apples and oranges and bananas show. Everyone had different physiques, different heights, totally different physiques. This week was was a much different lineup. So people, just like last week, have their own weaknesses. And when nobody's dominating, you move to the people with less weaknesses than more weaknesses. So I think that's where Max is not able to, put away some of these shows that he looks like he can put away based on some of the poses. But those are, Achilles' heel to his physique is, and he's improved them, right? He's improved the glutes, the hams, the back. But Max has got like a Paul Dillette syndrome. He can't really hit the back. It takes him a while to get into the back double.
Look at that shot of Max right there with Patrick Moore. That's a good shot of Max, front lat spread.
Yeah. Very, very, full delts.
Look, Mullis did a good job getting the guy in shape. We got to give him credit for that. Although Mullis had a meltdown last week about the placing, I think he got yelled at actually for having too much of a meltdown.
Well, I mean, that's why I say, like, listen, when you're judging a show, it's wonderful to come into a show and say, this guy's first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Everyone agrees. There's not much discrepancy. But when you don't have people clearly taking first, second, third, fourth, you get heated arguments. Like, Milos wants to say his guy's the best. I want to say my guy's the best. Someone wants to say their guy's the best.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, not one person is dominating the show, so you can't say they're the best.
I mean, no one's going to be happy except the winner, right?
Of course. Dave, you told me a long time ago, even when the guy, I'll never forget when someone won a show and we didn't think he won the show, and like everyone in the audience was baffled, like, how did he win? And Dave said, oh, you said it was like 4 minutes later. He said, oh, he's convinced now that he's better. I said, what do you
I told you.
Tell me he's the best. His girlfriend will tell me he's the best. His training partner will tell me he's the best. And
it used to happen to me all the time. There would be guys backstage asking me questions and taking notes and thinking I was going to destroy them. And then they'd go out on stage. They beat me at the show for whatever reason. And then they would be like so humble. And then by the next day, they were already telling people, I blew him out of the water. Yeah.
Everyone thought I crushed him on every shot.
So that's the way it goes. That's just the way it goes, right? Exactly. There's nothing you can do about that. But let's take a look at NPC has some decent pictures. Let's take a look at some of these pictures.
And Antoine's legs there look good. And last week he didn't even have his legs looking good.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's see the back double on Antoine. Yeah, hold on a second. Let's have you critique that. Antoine back double.
Very detailed. Very detailed. That's why he would look. I mean, big legs with hamstrings, and his back could use more thickness, and the arms could be a little bit bigger, shoulders a little bit bigger. But, I mean, the legs are phenomenal there.
Could he be? Is it a fullness issue in the backs right now? So do you think he can be even more carved up, or was this a good look for him?
It's a good look. It's you can't eat more and get more size on that body. He
just like, needs more muscle. Yeah,
I gained more weight this year, and now I weigh more. I'm big or whatever. I'm bigger.
It's amazing his arms look so good, right? Because I mean, you can't even tell the bicep beats are. I mean, really, it looks really. Whoever did the surgery did a great job on him. Maybe it's a little shorter, but it's really not. There's no It's not taking anything away from him for sure. Let's see if we can pull up a Max Charles back double so we can see what you're talking about.
Well, he's got a back double than Max, and like I said, it takes Max a while to get into the shot, which is subconsciously irritating when you're the judge.
Well, I think, you know what, Max doesn't really have, I think, the glute hamstring development necessarily either that Antoine has. You know, he's got them, but you know, I don't think it's as dominant of a pose.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
There it is.
Yeah, I mean, just the back detail. It's you know, he still needs more back detail. Glutes and hams are good there. You know, he looks good
For Max, yeah, for Max. His legs really don't look that bad. Like, you know, usually they look glaringly smaller, but I think they definitely have more volume than they normally do. I'm sure Milos used his his giant set insulin protocol for that.
Yeah.
But it worked. Yeah, Max has got the genetics that, you know, you could do all those things that Milos does, and it probably works on him really well too. You know. Look, this is a good look for Max. I think if Max can progress from here to the Olympia, I think that, and we'll probably see him again. I don't know if he has enough points to do the show yet to qualify for the Olympia. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Max one more time in the Chicago Pro. What do you think?
Maybe he'll probably go. I mean, he likes to compete. You know, he likes to compete. Milos coaches him. Milos loves to compete himself. So, I mean,
That's
Milos
true. Milos is going to encourage him to compete. You're right.
You know, Milos is not going to tell him shut it down. Milos didn't shut it down his whole career. He did like every single show every year.
He's right.
I would
ask
Milos. Milos did every show every year.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
And looked good at every single one.
And he looked good. I don't think he ever looked bad. Yeah.
Never came in off.
Let's talk about Unwin, third place.
Unwin is I told there's so many people, Dave, on the cusp of really going like
he's structurally very good. I mean, you have to admit. I mean, when he's in shape, his physique looks good. I think a lot of times he tries to come in too big, and because he does need more size. But when you come in too big, you know what happens. You lose the sharp.
That structure, he needs more size. I thought he looked gigantic.
Yeah, you don't think on the legs maybe a little bit?
Look at the legs from behind. They're the biggest in the show.
Yeah.
They look like the cows.
He's got good glutes and hams. You're right. Let's pull that picture up here.
He's got a crazy leg from the side.
Yeah, you're right. Good glutes, hams, good back. He's actually better from the back than he is from the front.
Yeah, he's very complete. You know what? I helped him last year for this show.
I remember. Yeah, he's always doing this show. That's the Cal Pro is like his show to do.
and he's actually since that show, the last couple shows, he's really improved a lot. I mean, I think he's probably gained. I bet he's up 5 pounds on the scale, 4 or 5 pounds,
right.
Which on that frame looks tremendous. And his condition is as good as it was last year, if not better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's dangerous in any show with this look because he's got. You know what? I started out by saying, these shows boil down to a lot of who has the least amount of weaknesses.
Right.
He has the least amount of weaknesses.
Yeah. Let me get you in trouble here. Let me put you on the spot. We always talk about who's the best Asian bodybuilder. Heath Yamagishi's name always comes up. Who's better, Unwin or Heath Yamagishi, in your estimation?
Unwin right now.
All right, that's a bold statement. Very good. That's a very nice compliment for him. Because Heath is a great bodybuilder, obviously.
Heath looks like he's another Instagram guy, dude. I'm telling you, he's nothing. I'm just kidding.
You're just mad that Heath beat Jose Raymond at the Arnold Classic.
The Arnold.
Yeah.
So is Jose.
Yeah, I know. Still talking about it. All right, let's go to fourth place. Another one of your guys in this lineup, Patrick Moore, looked very good. My before I let you talk about it, my critique of Patrick was that alone, he looks like Mr. Olympia, and then you put him next to people and you see his size is not quite up to snuff with some of these other guys, and he looks smaller in some of the poses. I thought he should have taken off the year a little bit more and grown, but he obviously is placing top 5 at all these shows, so you really can't critique that in a negative way. But what's your take as his coach on what he brought to the stage and what you think that he should be doing moving forward?
I thought he looked great. I think he's another. I think honestly, 9 pounds on this frame, nobody beats him at all.
Agree.
At all. And I mean nobody. That's a lot of muscle on that frame.
Yeah, because it'll look like 18 pounds on that frame probably.
5, and he's remarkably difficult to get by. And I say that because a judge, and I didn't ask, a judge told me last week that he said, I wanted to have Patrick first in almost every shot.
But
as the prejudging wore on, I realized he was up against bigger guys. And he said to me they weren't better, but they were bigger.
Right. It's in a bodybuilding show too.
He said, as well as, condition wise, his condition was spot on last week. So that's a judge telling you. It's a respected guy.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's very good.
The same story, essentially.
I got some exclusive Aceto hotel video footage. Let me.
It's like TMZ, Dave.
You leaked it to me. Let me pull this up. Hold on, Chris.
Keep in mind, he looks better here because I put my iPhone 7 filter on it. I'm kidding.
Hold on a second. All right.
Let's see how he looks here. Yeah, this is he looks dynamite here, man. Whoop. I'll do the sound effects.
Can you hear the sound?
No, I can't.
We should be able to hear the sound. Hold on. I hear it. Maybe you're not hearing it.
The bells and whistles are everything there. The hamstring crazy from the side.
Yeah.
He's round in the shots. Watch his side tricep. Leg from the side is, detailed.
You get the magic window over there of light on him. That's good.
Yep.
Alone, he's so dangerous. That's the thing. He looks so deadly. You know what I mean? This is the kind of look. Let me tell you. I used to always say I'd love to look like Tony Freeman. If I had to pick a physique, this physique wouldn't be a bad physique to walk around with, right?
This is a physique you come into the hotel room and you say, "Shit, show's over."
No, but I'm saying I'd like to walk around with that physique. I mean, that's a nice looking physique.
Yeah.
Ask me.
So
let me see if I could.
Everyone will have his number on speed dial, Dave. All the gurus saying I can put that I can put 19 on you, and I can do it in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, Patrick looked, I thought, really good. So what does he do next? Is he shutting it down or
shut it down and take the time to grow?
Put some size on him. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's
it's not going to be hard for him to put on that muscle once he has some time to do it.
What you wouldn't shoot for the Arnold? I guess you would push probably the next show till like later in 2021.
Yeah, maybe later.
I think it's a good move. I don't think he should do it like the Arnold this year. I don't think he can make enough improvements. But then again, he's a freak. Who knows? Maybe he can. I'll eat my words. I'll get an email from him when he wins the Arnold, saying, you said I couldn't do it,
Well, he likes a challenge too.
Let's talk about Eddie Bracamontes, who another one of your guys. I think 5th place here has to be a real win for Eddie because I don't think anyone expected it. Although I did suggest it in the preview that I did of the show because I know Eddie's always dangerous and he's always in good shape. But I mean, it's just gnarly conditioning here. I mean, let's face it. And he's got a big structure. That's what got him in that 5th position.
Yeah, I mean, he has very good condition, and he's very tall. I mean, he's tall and wide, and things flow. You know what I mean? Things generally flow on his physique. And
he's got wow. He's got wow factor.
He continues to improve. The interesting thing, even though I couldn't see the call outs, I could hear them because I couldn't see out through that video.
Right.
He wasn't in the first call out.
Oh, he wasn't? Really?
and they had him down to like, way out, like, but they moved him up. And yeah, I would agree with you. It's a win. He's like, I just posted on my Instagram, besides filtered photos of him. I said, he's been third, fourth, fifth, and sixth in pro shows, and he's just, he's close to. He's just close. He just needs, like everyone else, 5 pounds. You know what I mean? 5 pounds on that frame. I mean, everyone moves up if they get 5 pounds, right? Every single person who's in the top 8, all move up.
Right.
So I sound like a broken record, but he's continued to improve since he turned pro. He's been overlooked in shows where he didn't place in the top 5 or 6. Where was brought a great package. New York Pro a couple years ago. Yeah, I thought he looked very good here.
I agree. Let's talk about a moment, Shaban. I was impressed with him.
Yeah, he's very good. Good short guy, but doesn't look short. That makes sense.
Is he short? He doesn't look short at all.
Shorter. I guess, he's
Look at those
shorter.
quads. Look at those. He must be Egyptian. Where is he from?
Yeah, Egypt. I think.
The Egyptians got the lower quad, those lower teardrops. Yeah.
Teardrops.
I mean, between him and we'll talk about Hassan Mustafa in a minute, and who else was it Rami? I mean,
Rami, Nasser.
Well, I don't know if Nasser was isn't Nasser like Yugoslavian?
No, his mother's Egyptian.
Oh, she was Egyptian. Okay.
Or the father. So the father, I think.
Chris,
Father,
I don't appreciate you lumping me with these moronic fishermen. I'm an intellectual. I speak 8 languages and
think of the mass monsters from Egypt. Nasser.
Who's the
Hassan,
other one? Mustafa Muhammad, right? Remember him?
Rami, and Muhammad Mustafa. Those are Muhammad Mustafa had the wacky legs too.
Yeah, no, they all had those lower teardrops. It's definitely genetic. This is definitely. They all have good abs, good lined up abs too, right? They have perfectly lined up abs. Yeah. So he's good. I like him.
Good. Me too.
I think you could make a case for him probably being higher in this show. But if he was short, maybe that's his conditioning from behind could have been a little dry, but he looks pretty good. The glutes, hams, and everything.
Yeah. Oh, he's complete, is what he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing's overwhelming. That doesn't mean he's small, but nothing is. Mm-hmm. It goes back to, again, it's a show of who has the least weaknesses. The reason he fell into 6th is because he really doesn't have any weaknesses.
Right.
6th in a good lineup,
What about this Joe Seaman guy from Canada? He was like, I didn't even know who he was, to be honest.
Big wheels, big V taper, big front double.
He's from Canada.
Great condition.
Yeah, I think he shocked a lot. I don't think anyone expected. He might be the dark horse because no one knew who he was going into the show.
He looked very good, even on the completely blacked out.
I wonder why they had lighting problems. Maybe because the venue was just not good.
Well, because yeah.
All right, let's.
Lucky we got the show. Let alone we can't complain that they didn't have the best video lighting.
No, you're right. We are lucky they did the show, and I take my hats off to all these promoters that are making this happen because they're doing it with no audiences. They're losing money. It's not cool,
If you take Tamer out of the picture, and you take Jake Wood out of the picture, this year would have been. And Jake Wood with
and Gary Eder,
but Gary wasn't doing a pro show.
Oh, he wasn't. Yeah, well, he did the Masters Pro, but I know what you're saying. The guys that are spending the money who are losing money, I understand.
This would have been
disaster.
A bust of a year.
Yeah, there would have been no year. The whole thing would have been canceled, like all these other sports. Let's look at Hassan Mustafa. All right, give us the timeline on this one because it's amazing that a guy made it to the stage.
He looks okay here.
It looks pretty. I'll play the hotel stuff later, but let's show me. This look is 2 hours away from the hospital. Was he in the hospital this morning? The morning of the show.
He was for 48 hours, and then he was discharged at 9 and got on stage at 11.
What the heck? So now go over what happened. What was he doing in the hospital? I got the picture.
You have to go back to, unfortunately, New York. I got to Tampa or New York on Tuesday, and I just thought he was fatigued and stuff. Like, oh, well, maybe he's dieting. I mean, just typical pre-contest. But as Tuesday went into Wednesday, he told me he had he had a lot of issues. One with diarrhea, and then all of a sudden, like crazy hemorrhoids to the point where, he couldn't. By Friday, he could barely speak because of the pain.
So you knew it had to be more than hemorrhoids at this point.
No, well, it was hemorrhoids. They were just bleeding. It was bad.
Right.
And Friday, I thought, okay, maybe you shouldn't do the show. And that was like I mentioned. That was like we couldn't even breach that because at that point he was like, "No way, I'm here."
These bodybuilders are not quitting.
No matter what. And then by Saturday, the flack, of course, was his presentation on Saturday, and that was mostly directly 100% attributed to like he couldn't really flex.
He was in too much pain, is what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
And then so after the show, I'm shocked. Okay, I'm going to try to make it out to Vegas. He stays in Tampa a few days, heads out to Vegas. The second he got off the plane, they went directly to the hospital. He stayed there for 2 days.
Really? He was in that much pain. Now, what do they give? What do they give you for pain for that? Do they just like give you topical stuff?
They give you
like Percocets and stuff like that, which obviously constipates you.
Yeah, they give you narcotics.
Now, what was he doing for his food? I mean, how was he?
He didn't eat anything for 2 days.
Oh, he just wasn't eating?
They just IV'd him, so that was it.
Wow. And will you give? I don't even. How do you deplete someone who's on an IV?
He was depleted out of his mind from diarrhea. You know what I mean?
Oh, so it didn't even matter. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So you guys were playing like catch up. I mean, you sent me a video.
And I think, Dave. Honestly, I think like at 90, between 9 and 11, he ate like a dozen donuts.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah.
I
guess
he
still had an appetite after all that.
Well, he wasn't eating. What? Now, let me ask you this question. You sent me this video.
Yeah.
What was the video from? What day was this video?
That was Thursday before the New York Pro.
Oh, before New York Pro. All right, so let's play this video because this is Chris shooting him in the hotel room for the New York Pro.
Guy Gooding.
Look at that.
That's just like that's Olympia damage everywhere.
Oh, he looks like Nasser El Somadi from behind, with a better back.
Dude.
What is Jeanne, Chris? I hear them saying.
Jeanne, crazy because I thought he looked crazy. Look at this shot.
Look at the quads.
Watch the pec striations.
How tall is he? He looks short here. He's so big.
5'7".
This guy could
He's
definitely
like 263 right there.
Wow. Very good. Very impressive.
And the other interesting thing, Dave, with the hemorrhoids is like Thursday is just, I mean, his body, he was soaked with sweat at all times of the day because he had a fever from the.
Because he had an infection, right? Did he have a low-grade infection?
Oh, he had a high-grade infection, turns out. He didn't have anything like low-grade.
So it was like systemic almost, yeah.
Yeah. So he would drink like, a liter of water and sweat out a liter within 2 hours.
Wow.
Just drenched.
Yeah. Now, when were you against him competing at this show?
No, because I just said, he came all this way. Just he puts so much into the show. I mean, everyone puts a lot into the show.
Right.
But he's like the other guys. I mean, I'm sure there's multiple people other than Hassan Mustafa whose show number 1 was postponed. Show number 2 was postponed. Show number 3 was canceled.
Right.
And in fact, when the New York Pro was supposed to be on it 6 weeks out, I advised. I said, it's just too much work. You're not even in shape.
Mhm.
I mean, you look decent, but
Right.
it's going to be it's so much. And what if they don't have it? And he said, I want to do it.
Well, where does he go from here now? Is he going to try to do another show, or is he going home?
I think he's still got, take care of his he's nowhere near out of the woods with the hemorrhoid stuff.
Oh, so you think he's going to need like some laser surgery or those things? That's usually what they do. They laser him off.
I think he's got to,
You got to get him on some fiberlize, Chris.
he can't go home until you got to put the instructions in Arabic though.
His wife speaks very good English.
He may get hungry on low carbs and eat the whole entire jar.
Tell him I'll send him some fiberlize. Where's he staying? What hotel?
He's staying in Vegas until he can get the strength to decide when he's leaving.
People don't realize it's a long flight back to Egypt, so he's got to be able to sit on that plane. And if if you got hemorrhoids, man, it's
what's so funny, Dave? It's not funny. The flight, like the way they got to the connections, they had like a 9-hour layover in Turkey,
right?
And then it was 40 hours to get from.
Wow, that's like a Chris Aceto flight.
Yeah, well, it takes me 40 hours to get back from Tampa.
Yeah, because you got to go to Maine.
But it took them 40 hours, getting to get here from New York.
That messes you up right there. Yeah.
I mean, think about the sitting when you don't know you have hemorrhoids, like they're getting ready to blow up.
Oh, it's got to be terrible. It's got to be terrible. I wouldn't wish that. I wouldn't wish like a bad case of hemorrhoids on anyone. That's even my worst enemy.
Well, that's why they say your worst enemy is a pain in the ass. That's where that word comes from.
There you go.
They don't say he's a pain in the elbow.
That's right.
Pain in the shin.
Oh my God. Never ending. So Antoine Vaillant's going to the Olympia. It's going to be pretty exciting. I got it. The guy worked hard, made it happen. It's got to be exciting for him, I would think.
Oh, first time is always the most exciting one, because I'm at the Olympia. Every single person who's ever been at the Olympia gets crazy excited about their first Olympia.
Yeah. I mean, they were grooming. This kid was supposed to go on the Olympia stage, like when he was a teenager, they were saying he's going to be on the Olympia stage. So to finally make it there, sometimes when people get sidetracked like that, when they have so many problems in their life, a lot of times they can never make that comeback. He did it. He was able to pull it off.
Dave, how many bodybuilders do we know who was supposed to make it to the Olympia and then just their personal lives just exploded, imploded, and they didn't even qualify to become a pro, or they made it, they finally got their pro card and that was it. They went down the tubes, with their.
Well, I saw the Olympia guys put up a picture. So they had the meeting out there at the Olympia. Finally, they were able to go see the Planet Hollywood venue, and that's from the left there. That's Angelica Nebbia, who works for Flex and the whole crew. Tamer El Gundi, obviously, and then there's Dan Solomon in the middle, Jim Mannion, Jake Wood, and Tyler Mannion. So. That's good. That leads me to believe that they're making progress, right? Look, I if it wasn't Jake Wood behind running these things and owning the Olympia, I would be nervous that the show would be canceled. I really don't think it would have happened.
Do you think it would happen if Pecker had the show?
No way. They would have probably canceled it 6 months ago. They would have canceled it because that's the political thing to do, right?
Well, I mean, it's
business-wise, a business decision-wise. I mean, because they're definitely lose money.
Well, that's the point. That's why I asked you. I set you up on that softball question. Is there's a difference? David Pecker would come out once a year and say, "I love bodybuilding,"
sure.
And Jake Wood loves bodybuilding.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, you have to totally be engulfed in it to say, I own the Olympia. I'm having it no matter what.
Yeah. You think Blackman calls up Jake Wood and hey, Jake, it's Steve Blackman from Muscular Development. I got to just tell you, you're doing a great job.
I don't know. I mean,
What do you think he's jealous? What do you think he's jealous of the whole thing?
It's weird because he could have been in the position to own it, right?
Yeah. I at least never would have allowed him to pay the money to buy it. I'm sure, but
He would have done a good job with it too, because he's passionate, genuinely passionate
yeah.
about bodybuilding.
If Elise would have let him use his money to do whatever he wanted with it, he would have made it great, probably.
Yeah. Probably would have. He would have had like celebrity head judges and stuff.
That's
And calling up Jermaine, and can we get
he'd get Simon Cowell. He'd have on the panel.
Simon Cowell and Kim Kardashian in there just for the judge won the 212.
That's right. Judge Bikini, Kim Kardashian head judge.
That would be a move Steve would do, right? And it'd be
It's brilliant. Right? It would be a brilliant move too. It would be brilliant. Think about how many people would be watching on her. She'd hold up her phone on Instagram. There'd be 6 million people watching the Olympia.
Oh gosh,
it's a brilliant move, but it's not going to happen that way.
Running around the office saying he's got a 1 o'clock Skype call with.
He'd be like, let's call the wellness division the Kardashian division. Much more marketable.
Dave, the thing is, it comes up with it. It would stick, right?
Oh, it would. Yeah, it definitely would.
Kardashian division. You get rid of the wellness, the Kardashian. You'd have they'd have to call Pittsburgh and say, why do we have for the Nationals 700 entries per division?
Yeah,
it's a Kardashian division.
That's right. There you go. They'd make a fortune off that one. No doubt at all. So the next big pro show is Chicago now. That's going to be taking place in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's right. It's in Atlanta.
Yeah, they moved it.
And is that Wings of Strength as well?
Yes. Yeah, that's Tim Gardner.
Yeah.
So we'll see that. Is that then they got the Alicante, Spain one.
Yeah, in a month or so, or the week before. I think it's a week before Chicago, right around the same time. And what is the last? What do we got coming up after that? Romania, is that a qualifier?
So Alicante, Spain is they're calling that the. Then they actually have an NPC European Championships there too. They're giving out 3 qualification spots per division for the Alicante, Spain one. And I think that's only because they only have one show in Europe.
Yeah,
Europe shut down all the shows because I was helping. I know you probably help a lot of European guys too. All their shows, there's nothing. So everyone has to go to that Alicante, Spain show.
Yeah.
Or I think they have one more in another country too, but it's not a pro show. But they won't let travel. They won't let you cross over the borders and stuff like that. They're I don't know if it's good or bad with the whole COVID thing. I have no idea. If you ask Romano, it's going to be COVID is going to be over with after the election. But
he thinks it's a hoax.
They're going to cancel it. Yeah, they're going to call it off.
COVID's in cahoots with Black Lives Matter.
They're going to cancel it.
There's no real racial issues anywhere.
Yeah.
His cops always beat up on, he said, on him when he was little.
So, but it looks like we're going to have a really busy fall because, think about it, Chris, we're going to have all these, we have the NPC Masters Nationals. We have the USA, which is going to have the USA Masters as well. We're going to have the NPC Nationals, the Team Universe. They're all going to be taking place within 6 weeks of each other. Think about all those pro qualifiers. If you can't get a pro card there, you suck, because if you're top 5 at any of those shows, as long as you hit all 5 of them, you should be able to get your pro card, right? And the Nationals gives top 2 in every weight class of pro cards. So, I mean, you really, the top 6 people in every division, I mean, there's no excuse not to do all those shows unless you run out of money, because, I mean, that's the only thing that's a limiting factor there.
No, although those shows, are they going to be outside or?
I don't know. Well, no, I think in Florida, as long as everything's being held in Florida. So Florida, you can hold the stuff inside. We don't care over here in Florida.
Well, you do, but they don't.
I do, but the state doesn't, obviously.
Yeah, that's how you know if you actually a believer or not believer. You
That's
say,
right.
would you take your kids to a bodybuilding show, Dave?
No, I was like, no way. No way. But you know what the thing is, though? In the end, look, eventually, this is going to die down. It's going to go away. But in the end, maybe Florida will come out, financially better off than all these other states because they are having business here somewhat. I mean, in a limited fashion.
No, but,
Is Disney still open, Amanda? I don't think she can hear me. I think Disney's still open.
Yeah, but the crowds there are like trickling in.
People don't care. They want to go to
It's
Disney.
like restaurants are open up here, but there's no one has any business.
I think that people have business up here. We order in. That's what I get.
You're living in a cave there. You don't even. That's
Outback. We order Outback. We order pizza. We order Carrabba's.
Amazon. You don't have to leave the house.
No, you don't have to. Now they have this new service. Man, was telling me where you can order your groceries. You go online and you can just, pick out your groceries. They deliver them.
Great. I hate grocery shopping.
I've been doing it myself because I'm like the guy they send. Like they always have the guy who tests They have the canaries. They test the radiation.
Yeah.
Whenever there's like any kind of radiation, or when they would work in the labs with radiation, they would have canaries there because the canaries would die first if there's a radiation leak. I'm the canary, the yellow canary they send out.
What you guys got a hurricane coming your way?
No, I think we averted. I think we had a little bit of a tropical storm, the tail end of that over here.
How about the fires out west?
Yeah, it's always the world is coming to an end. What can I tell you? 2020 was a rough year for civilization, I think.
I was in town today. It was like tumbleweeds going downtown.
Really? Even in Maine still, huh? Are things closed there?
A lot of things are closed, and people who are open have desperate look. There's nothing worse than a look of desperation. I go around, you know what I mean? I go to stores, and I when I'm in town, I look around and I go to restaurants and peek in, and because that's what I like to do.
Sure.
And you see like people with like sad, desperate little faces. It's terrible.
It is kind of sad when you think about it. I mean, because but yet still people don't want to work around here. I still can't get a fence guy to put a fence up around my house.
Construction people are still busy somehow.
I got a fence guy who gave me a quote, which is ludicrously,
insane,
absolutely crazy. Yeah.
I got a fence quote. What? I got one for you, Dave. What did he quote you?
I'm afraid to even admit it.
Admit it. I'll tell you better. I'll tell you better.
Like $30,000 they wanted.
Okay, I can one up you.
Right.
So I have this place. I bought it long time ago, and I bought this. It's an apartment building, and I have a real estate idol, but he don't know me, but he's my idol. It's like people know Arnold, right? Arnold's my idol, but Arnold don't know who they are. So one day I get a call from this guy. He said, "Oh, yeah, I bought the building next to you. My name's Arnold Schwarzenegger." He tells me his name. I said, "I just do this. Of course, I know everything about you. I'm like, you're my idol."
Right.
He says, "I want to put a fence between my property and your property. Let's meet for lunch." It's like Arnold said, "Let's go for lunch."
Right.
Like, be right there when. I know all his properties, Dave. It's sick.
That's crazy.
I'm like a stalker. And so he says, "Yeah, I want to put up a fence between my property and your property, and I'm taking this building and I'm putting a fortune into it. It's kind of a junky building." And then he says, "Would you like to, why don't we go halves on the fence?" It's Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? What am I supposed to say?
Yeah. He's bamboozling you.
He sends me the bill for $15,000, $30,000 for the fence.
Wow.
Just what you had.
And how long was the fence?
I haven't paid a penny on it yet. I've been skirting it for 2 years. How long is it?
How big? What's the distance?
Nothing. It's probably 100 yards.
Why is the fence so expensive? What did he build a wall?
That's why he's my idol. Because when you go in, Dave, when you go in to see his apartments, they take your breath away. They're just apartments.
He built like the wall they want to build around Mexico. They built.
Yeah, and he's having me pay half for it, just like Trump said Mexicans are supposed to pay.
You should You got to find someone else to put your part of the bill. That's what the problem is.
So I got his address right here and he brings it up. He'll say like,
you really want to pay just to show him, hey, I'm on the same team as you, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Right, so look at this picture. Tell me when this is from without reading you can't read it anyway because you can't see. All right, here we go.
That's Phil Heath from the Colorado Pro. I'm an expert at this stuff, Dave.
You're right. That's a great picture, huh? Look how shredded he is here.
Crazy shredded. You know what? He's
he looks different. Maybe he was younger. I don't know. Right? Doesn't he look different?
Yeah, you get when you me and you look different. How many years? This is 10, 12 years ago, 14 years ago.
I'm saying he still has a shaved head here. His face just looks different, I think.
He's aged.
Yeah, I guess so. Phil really doesn't look older to me. He just looks different. You know what I mean? He doesn't have wrinkles on his face or anything like that. He's like Rhoden. Rhoden doesn't really look actually, Rhoden looks no different, I think, than when he was first started. He's another guy.
When Rhoden diets down, he looks ageless.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like Dexter, in his body is ageless, but his face you could see Father Time in there,
Yeah, well, he is 50. I mean, Rhoden's 40. Well, 40.
When Dexter was in his 40s, he had, you can see the lines of age in his face. Not that it was bad or anything like that, but I'm just saying, Rhoden has he could be like 30 years old, for all, he looks like a kid. He actually looks like a little kid actually in his face.
Yeah, no, he does. He has a very young looking kid type face, kid features.
All right, so I'm going to give you one more Phil Heath. You tell me what show this one's from. Okay.
That one I haven't seen. That was the 2000. That's the Lasix Fish Olympia, 2008. He ended up third. Wherever he ended up third, 2008.
I'm trying to see. He actually put it up as like a little. Can anyone guess this one?
2008.
Only 61,000 people looked at the
Let me
picture.
See. It was the year he almost didn't make it to prejudging.
Yeah, I don't even know what year. I don't.
9. That's 2009.
Now, what tips you off?
I just know the look, but I know what Dave. If you go back and look at that prejudging, he made the changes between prejudging and finals that Antoine made between New York and Tampa. And I heard that he ate at the buffet like all day long. I don't know if that's true, but in prejudging, he was like just like almost small, not small. And for the night show, which was a full day later, he looked like he gained 15 pounds, and I bet he did gain 10.
Yeah.
And that's the picture right there. If you go back and you look at 2009 Phil Heath prejudge in Olympia, and then go back and look at 2009 finals, you'll say, I didn't know Phil was so good that year.
Right.
And you wouldn't know because all the hoopla was in the prejudging. He was.
Look, if he brings it this year, it's going to be a lot of crying guys out there. That's for sure.
Well, you know what? Unfortunately, we're going to get a press conference because Phil's good in a press conference because he blows a gasket.
Yeah, he might have a different approach this year, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Because you always blow a gasket. You know what? If you're one prone to blow gaskets, it's like you can't. Old dogs don't learn new tricks.
Yeah, no, maybe not. He looks pretty big. Yeah, I'll give you this much.
I'm sure he'll post up a picture in a month, and people declare him the winner. He'll have like 40-inch arms.
I think that's him right now.
He looks lean too. Yeah.
Yeah. He looks big. He definitely looks big.
He won't grant you an interview if he wins.
Nah, he might, but whatever. Who knows? I mean, who else is he going to interview with? I mean, how many? If you're Mr. Olympia, you got to go interview with everyone, don't you think? So that you can, you market your brand. I mean, that's really what it amounts. Back in the day, no one can interview with anyone because there was exclusive contracts. There are none.
Yeah.
Now there are just people who don't want to interview with certain people because they don't like, their critique of their physique or something like that.
It was Blackman versus Weider, and everyone hated each other.
Yeah, it's crazy,
right?
So they were all trying to get. I got to get exclusivity on these athletes. Remember, I was working for Blackman during these times. He was driving me crazy, with contracts and this person, and then we had to patrol the internet because if God forbid these guys, because they would forget and they would do an interview with bodybuilding.com or something like that. And I'd be like, Victor, you're not supposed to be talking to this guy. You're exclusive to MT. I hated having the conversation because I thought it was ridiculous, the whole exclusivity to me to begin with. But, I was defending the MD, label, so to speak. But it was ludicrous. That
Did Blackman freak out when someone would?
He would send a letter out with lawyer letters.
Oh God! What, a cease and desist or warning?
And these guys would throw it in the garbage and wipe their ass with it, and he would never follow up because he didn't want to spend the money on the follow up.
It's like the landlord sending out a letter like he's going to evict you, but he didn't want to spend the money.
I'm like, Steve, why do you even send that? No one's even responding. These guys laugh at these letters. They know that you're not going to do anything about it. I got to keep it on file in case it ever escalates.
We got Bob Gruskin's file. Can we get Steve Blackman's file with all the?
I love it. I probably have the biggest file there. I bet you. I bet my file. I bet my file is the biggest. It might even be bigger than Jay's. Or who else was this? Lee Priest's file. Lee Priest's file might be bigger than mine. I think he made bigger. He probably has all.
He kept the file. Huh?
He had files on everyone. Yeah. He had files on everyone. So, all right. Well, that's it. We're going to wrap it up. That was a good Cal Pro wrap up. Tamer, congratulations on holding that show and making it happen. And Tamer's going to be running the Olympia backstage. So that's
it's perfect.
Yeah. But you know what? I think him and his brother must be going out of their mind because think about how many shows they normally hold every year. They have a record. There's no one who holds more shows than them. They have a ridiculous number. And they probably are only holding a fraction of what they normally hold. So that's for guys that work all the time, that's that they'll go crazy like that, Thinking about it. They probably have spent more time canceling venues and giving people back money and and talking to sponsors than they've ever done before. That's just not fun. That's not a fun thing to do, especially when you have a lot of money invested,
What's worse is the uncertainty of it all.
Yeah.
And who knows? You might be able to have it hotel saying, yeah, I think you can, get back with us in 2 weeks. And then everyone calling Tamer, are we having a show? Well, possibly. We might move the Cal Pro to North Dakota and the North Dakota show to Vegas. And
the scary thing, Chris, is it could still go on into 2021. There's no guarantee that this is going to let up, because there could be another wave of this stuff, of COVID going on when we hit the cooler months,
What has changed at all? You're good in science.
Well, these viruses sometimes run their course. In other words, you would think, well, there's some people haven't gotten it yet, so it should continue spreading. Well, sometimes they just die out. I mean, not everyone gets the flu every single year, right? I mean, some people get it, some people don't get it, and that's it. And it runs its course and it's done. So we don't know if this COVID, because this COVID seems pretty good evidence that it's a manufactured virus. We don't know if it has a longer life or a longer half-life, if you want to.
Wait till people start getting the flu, thinking they have COVID.
Right, everyone's going to think they have COVID. Yeah, that's going to be crazy. I have to go for a colonoscopy, and I have to get COVID tested on the Monday before because I'm getting it done in a hospital. So I heard the procedure's not so fun. They have to stick this thing up your nose and swab up in your sinus cavity.
Well, they got to go nose and then up your rear end.
That's right. I don't know which one's worse, to be honest with you. The nose one, I'm awake for, so that might be worse.
Maybe you should be the specialist for Hassan because you.
There you go. I got to send Hassan. gotta send
It's that
Hassan.
the Fiber King.
That's right.
The Fiber King.
The
He's
Fiber
the
King.
Fiber
That's what Fleckman would call me, right? The Fiber King. I'll have a roll of toilet paper wrapped around my head. They call me the Fiber King. But yeah, I got to send Hassan some Fiberlize. If he's gonna be in Vegas for over a week, I'll send him a tub of it, a couple tubs to bring back with him. Let him know.
I'm sure he's gonna be in Vegas.
It'll definitely help him. Moving his bowels is going to help him a lot. Obviously, it's going to take some of the strain off of the last exit, out of his body, so to speak. But I feel bad for the guy. It's a very, very uncomfortable thing to have to go through. I know a lot of guys who've had laser surgery, to remove the hemorrhoids, and they were like, it was a godsend. But I'm telling you, you could prevent yourself from getting hemorrhoids. You got to take a good quality fiber supplement. There's not that many out there. I'm not trying to push my product, but I'm telling you, talk to Guy Sistonino if you want to know how good my product works. You got to take Luke Sando. Was a disciple too of the Fiberlife. May he rest in peace. So give it a shot, guys. If you're having trouble with hemorrhoids or you have uncomfortableness down there, this will really take the burden off of that as well. And because you don't have to strain. It's the straining, especially when you're that big too. You don't realize when you weigh 250 and you are all muscle and you strain, okay, the strain that you're putting on that area is way, way more than it would if you're like a 150-pound guy, So that's another thing that you have to consider. And plus, you're eating 8 times a day. That doesn't help it either. So the area never gets a rest down there. So once you get some kind of a hemorrhoid that flares up, you're never giving it a break because you're always eating. So there's my little rant for the day. Hopefully everyone's having a good weekend, and we'll have a good week coming up. And obviously we got a lot of shows to start covering. Hopefully you guys are enjoying all the coverage on RxMuscle. If you are, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that like button, turn on your notifications. And remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
Truth hurts.
good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.